All right, episode 2 of my new series called Wash and Drive. We're going to do the GT3 RS today. The first few episodes of this series are going to be a bit erratic in that I'm going to take you through each individual product and take you through the entire process. Then I'll get into subsequent episodes where we'll talk about specific processes, whether it's wheels, whether it's caring for bugs, whether taking care of PPF, things like that. So this episode will be RS, and then I'm going to go for a drive. We're going to talk about the PDK-S, the transmission. All right, let's get started with the wheel. Of course, this car, yellow brakes mean carbon ceramics. Carbon ceramics mean less issues with brake dust, or very little brake dust, if any. What does tend to happen is the brake dust tends to build up inside of the caliper, and these tend to squeak. So what I'm going to do here is blow it out really well. Wheels are coated with Kamikaze Stance. We have CarPro Pearl on the tires, and so let's do a normal cleanup. Again, I want to spray in there and get as much of the pad material out of the rotors as I can. When carbon ceramics are new, I always find them to be really, really squeaky. So one way to get them cleaned out is to grab the gun, hose it out really good. This is a 40-degree nozzle, and I'm running about 1200 psi, so I'm safe to keep it 18 inches away from the surface of the wheel. Then we'll spray it down with some Next Set Color Tech. And this wheel cleaner is probably largely unnecessary for carbon ceramics, but I use them anyway. Incredibrush Flat just squeaks by the rotors on the 20-inch wheels and roughly 17-inch rotors. Does not get behind the caliper. That's where Easy Detail Brush comes in. I can squeeze it behind most of the caliper area. This is a lambskin 4-finger mitt. You'll find it in my store only. It's the only place available in the US. To gently get the edge, grab my Easy Detail. Let's do the tire. This is Adam's rubber and tire cleaner, and I'm going to use the Tire Shine or Tough Shine tire brush. It's also available in the Obsessed Garage store. Spray some Next Set Color Tech on. Lambskin mitt. Clean the exterior well. Easy Detail E21S polishing soap. This is their little sponge that comes with it. And agitate. This would be a step below a metal polish, but this is what helps get rid of the crust that tends to build up on your exhaust tips. But this will help clean it up. If you do that often, you won't have to get metal polish out ever. Just to show you the car truly is dirty. There's lots of bugs. All right, step 1 is to rinse it. Same 1200 psi, 40-degree nozzle. Being aware to not hit any edges of the PPF. 4.5 ounces or so. I'm gonna fill this up about 3/4. Mix it up well without getting your finger stuck in there. Now we have 2000 psi, 2.8 gallons per minute. It creates pretty thick foam. This is Adam's car shampoo. While that's running off, we'll get our soap bucket ready. One little trick, I always put the soap on the sponge so it doesn't spray out all over the place in the bucket. You tend to get better suds that way, and then you get enough water in the bucket to actually get the job done. Doesn't do any good to have too much soap, too many suds, not enough water. You also don't want too much water, not enough suds. So we want to find that balance. Procedurally, when you have paint protection film on the car, I still am going to treat it like paint, with the exception of, there's an edge that runs all the way across here and here. You have to be wary of that. We've messed up a lot of those self-healing properties by putting a coating on to help protect the PPF. I don't say messed up, but we've altered that a bit. And so we want to be sure, at least I want to be sure, that I'm taking care as if I were washing the car without it. I'm not using any pressure on the on the area with the bugs. I'll address any bugs or the leftover bugs when I come back and dry it. All right, so much for our wash and drive. It's pouring down rain out here. Let me switch to deionized water. Rinsing will be at the same PSI. We take our Ego 530, Howard Light. This wash is quite a bit different than the S2000 wash. I'm actually going to dry it and dry it using a drying aid. I'm going to use CarPro ECH2O. This drying aid on anything coated is by far the best I've found. I've tried all kinds of fancy stuff. It's pretty simple. We're spraying it on the towel, wiping the surface. I like to do a manual drying like I'm doing now, you know, gentle with using some lubrication and, you know, in the drying aid, because that helps me get the little leftover stuff that I didn't get before. So I'm going to go around the whole car using my ECH2O and my blue microfiber drying towel on the entire car. I don't know what's taking me so long, but modification number one on all of my cars is to get rid of the scratch leash. So I'd rather lose the gas cap than have it scratch the side of the car by leaving it on. So there we go, I just snipped that thing off. Gas cap back in. Nice and clean. So I'm gonna do a quick superficial wipe just to get the heavy stuff off. So I'm gonna go through here. I'll probably use 4 towels or so cleaning this up. Also gonna go around, knock out the door jambs. Try a little ECH2O. Gosh, I love this car. It's microfiber. All right, I know this isn't part of the routine, but I can't handle this. I've got to have something on here. So I'm gonna do a quick little eraser wipe and put some power lock on here. Just doing little tweaks every time you wash the car. If you do that, your car will always stay well maintained. It's got some Power Lock Plus, a tiny little bit. This is an Adams foam block. Now we did polish this, just don't think any coating, or I know that no coating or anything, no protection got on it. All right, so we'll let that sit for a minute, we'll wipe it off. All right, hook me up in the rain, Oh, feed me, that was a terrible shot. Come on. There we go, one more. Make it take it. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Shoot it from there. Oh, you're junk.
No, that is not.
Make it take it, do it again. Oh, feed me the rock.
Spin it.
All right, I'm starting to get my range.
What's that mean?
Here we go, make it take it. Uh-oh. Catching fire. Oh my gosh. There we go.
You didn't make it.
Come on, give that to me again. I made it.
No.
I got 2 rebounds. All right, I gotta get back to work. You keep shooting. All right, me and Riley got a little sidetracked. Let's remove our power lock. Ooh, there's nothing better than removing power lock. I'm telling you, if you've never used this stuff, it's worth it just to try it once. Let's just top off and clean up the windows, top off the G on View with some Opti Glass Clean and Protect. Waffle weave microfiber towels. Let's give it a quick wipe. A little bit of Pearl. I'll leave that on, then I'll come back and wipe off the excess when I finish the other tires. Do a quick vacuum, and we're done. All right, so that's a pretty extensive wash. I'm gonna do some next at cockpit. I'll just spray this just on the surface. Just do a really quick wipe down. So tomorrow morning, I'll probably go out and do the dry portion of this video, and we'll talk about the PDK-S. All right, so I'm at the end of the driveway. I've talked about this once before in a video, probably 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It was one of the very first driving videos I ever made, where I was talking about the PDK transmission. And so there's a lot of questions about how this operates, and lots of YouTube videos of guys driving around the car that really don't understand this or haven't spent a lot of time behind the wheel of it. So I figured we'd do a 10-minute little out and back here in my normal driving spot or driving loop and talk a little bit about the PDK-S. A lot different operation than a traditional PDK. So first thing to mention, you have several different driving modes, right? So we could go into auto. The auto mode is really conservative, almost unusable. You'd be putting around town. It really doesn't do very well with managing the RPMs of the car. I think they probably set it up this way so that it wouldn't be an issue with, or would help or aid in the gas guzzler and gas guzzler tax and emissions, so that's fine with me if that's what they had to do. But the normal auto mode, you put it in auto, you can drive it around like it's a normal automatic transmission. Now, the PDK-S makes a lot more noise. Supposedly there's no packing in the clutches, and so you tend to crunch and crackle a lot. Not so much when you're driving, but when you're stopping. And so we're in 6th gear doing 44 miles an hour, 43 miles an hour. Just not very practical for this type of car. It tends to bog a bit. So the traditional auto mode isn't all that useful. I never ever use it. As soon as I get in the car, it's over to the left and I'm in manual. Second thing you can do, so back in auto, is I can hit this button, this PDK Sport button, and we went from 7 to 3rd gear. So at 45 we're in 3rd gear. So PDK Sport versus auto, 4th, 5th, 6th, back to PDK Sport, immediately back in 3rd gear. So you're 2-3 gears up, from where you normally would be in traditional auto mode. So, PDK Sport would be great if you're out, you don't want to shift gears, you're out on a mountain road or you're on the track. It's going to be hard to beat. The programming, the software, it's hard. It'll shift much quicker, hopefully at red line when you're aggressively driving the car. So if you want computer-aided operation, then it should be helpful for that. But I, of course, drive in manual all the time. And manual, you can shift in 2 ways. You can shift using the paddles. I can shift using the gear shifter, up for downshifting, down for upshifting, changing to the next highest gear. The interesting thing about when you're in manual and you have the PDK Sport button depressed, it still says Sport on the dash, and it'll trick you into thinking that it's shifting quicker. As far as I can tell, and everything I've tested, PDK Sport doesn't do anything in manual mode. It only affects the shifting or the auto version. In manual, it'll never take over. It'll bog. It'll let you bog the car. The only automatic thing it does is as you approach a stop, it'll slowly engage third, second, first gear, and when you come to a stop, it'll come to first. It lets you drive it like a manual. And so, I'm a diehard manual guy, and I'd be really hard pressed if the RS had an option of a manual transmission. I'd be really hard pressed not to choose the PDK. I'm in full control. It'll let you bounce it off the rev limiter, let you do whatever you think is necessary. This car's insanely fast. I've shut her down there. So, nice thing about, I like paddles that are on the steering wheel rather than on the stock. I don't know, I tend to keep my hand in position, if I'm driving aggressively. If I'm just driving around town, I'll do this a lot of times. I've developed sort of a bad habit of just driving and shifting, with my hand to the top of the steering wheel, right on the mark, and I'll shift from here. But the position of the paddles is great. So I think it was the 2016 model year, shortened up the paddles. There's a company that makes a carbon extension that I'd like to get. They're just a little daintier than I like. The original GT3 had a little longer paddle, which I thought was better. But they are stout. It clicks into place. It doesn't feel like I'm digitally shifting the car. If I'm in 5th gear and I hammer it, it won't downshift for me. There's no intrusion. It allows me to drive the car as necessary. But the main advantage I think of PDK-S over PDK is I can pull the paddles, engage neutral, rev the car. The car kind of stutters and stammers to a stop. As I approach a stop, I'll show you here in a second, to be able to pull and engage neutral. If you teach yourself to do that, so if you're a GT3 guy, if you teach yourself how to do that, it becomes much smoother. So I'm pulling the paddles. As it works its way down to 1st gear, there's less clunkiness. And of course, the magic of just that insanely fast shifts. Engaging the paddles, neutral, 2nd into 1st, nice and smooth. The PDK is just, I don't know, it's just well suited for this. And then of course the best part about this whole thing is the ability to stop, engage the brake, mash the throttle. And you have launch control, which I just messed up. I don't know why on that little hill there where I always end up doing launch control, I always mess it up. But launch control is as simple as press the brake down, mash the throttle all the way to the floor. As long as you stay in it, which I just didn't do there, as long as you stay in it, the car just, it's insane how fast it launches. Mash the floor. That's better. Mash the throttle all the way to the floor, and then as the G-forces pull you back, you have to keep your foot in it. You just have to stay in it. If you let off even the slightest bit, the car will bog and do some funky crap. So that's about the extent of what you would need to know, or what you would care to know about what you would generally refer to as an automatic transmission. I think of it more as a true automated manual. I have complete control of the car, downshifting, upshifting, launch control. Obviously, there's some computer aid, or it's all computer aided. But in general, the car, Porsche's done a masterful job of making sure that they're only intruding when it's necessary to intrude. Man, this car is awesome. It's hard to drive it and even talk. It's just so great. It's gonna be even greater when I get my headers on it. We'll make it sound like it looks. So there we go. Wash and Drive episode 2 done. Episode 3 will be one of the Raptors, and then we'll just keep discussing and talking about processes and something to do with driving a car. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more crazy. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.